today you will begin the third and final step of your project. We're going to be adding color to the background, and we'll be tracing our designs, if you haven't yet, with your fine and ultra fine Sharpie. The fine point Sharpie, which is this bigger one, there you go. This Sharpie will be used for tracing, so it has the bigger felt tip on it. You'll be using this to trace around your hand. You will trace any dividers as they go out, and that will be it. Those are the only things you should use this fine point for. Otherwise, it takes over the project. The ultra fine point will be used, so that's the smaller one that looks like this, and the tip on it is small, like a pencil tip. Okay, and this will be used to trace everything else. So you use this on the inside of your hand to trace all of your designs. If you haven't yet done that, that has to get done. And then you'll be tracing all of your patterns, so the motifs, the 3 different ones that go inside each of these sections. So set the hand and the section lines are this big marker. Everything else on this page is this. If you use this marker in the background areas, it takes over and becomes more bold than the things we're going to leave black and white. So the hand itself is going to be left black and white. So once you have traced the outline and these lines and you've traced over your patterns, you're then going to take your kneaded eraser. We're going to start with that one first. Remember, we call it a kneaded eraser because we pull it apart and knead it. And then we'll erase away any pencil. And anytime I'm erasing, I'm either holding like this and scrubbing between my fingers, or I'm going to hold and then pull, and I'm pulling to remove any of the gray pencil. We don't want it interfering with our colors. Okay, and if I get too much graphite from here, from our pencil in our kneaded eraser, we'll knead it and go again until we remove all of that gray from the background. Okay, then we'll start adding color. Now, the biggest thing with color is we're going to be creating sort of like a wallpaper in the background. Here's one that I finished. And in that wallpaper, we want to make sure that we are doing different colors for everything, and that we're never putting the same color next to the same color in this background. So we're alternating, like here, our sections are being alternated. We're never coloring all the background one color. So I'm going to just pick one section and color one section for you. So I'm going to do this one here in this bottom corner with my fish. And I'm going to make my dots green. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to neatly color those. They're sort of my smallest things. I don't want them to get covered. So I'm going to color those first with my sort of like lime green. And definitely, you do not have to pick any color specifically because, you know, well, the water is blue and the fish would be, you know, a certain color. You're going to color that whatever you like. So I'm actually going to color my fish this sort of red violet color. And I might color them all the same, or I might alternate them. But my pencil is sharpened, so I'm neatly coloring within the lines. I always sort of inline inside of my shape, then fill. I guess I'm going to make all my fish this color. So I'm inlining inside. So I trace inside my shape like this, and then I fill. And then I'm going to work on my background. Now, I think I am going to do values of blue for my background, but because I have them in rows, I'm going to pick 2 blues that are pretty different, and then I'm going to alternate them back and forth. And I want to pick things that are going to contrast the colors that I have here. So, you know, I wouldn't want to do the background in one of these same colors or in the background in a lime green, because then my lime green dots would disappear. I'm going to do some blues, although they don't have to be blue. They can be whatever I like. But I'm going to start with this. Now I'm going to go with this lighter blue first, and I'm going to color my first row. But before I start coloring it, I'm going to come inside of it, and I do what's called inlining. So I'm going to stay inside those edges that I don't want to cross over, and I'm creating this barrier to help guide where I'm coloring, so I don't just start scribbling and then scribble over my line. So I'm going to stay inside this barrier. And then I'm also going to go around my objects so I don't scribble over those. So I'm going to carefully outline my objects. And then I will fill the empty space. So I inline inside my outer edge, I outline my objects, and then I'm going to go back and fill the empty space so there's no white showing in the background. Okay, now for my next row, I'm going to do something that contrasts this. Now I had a blue that was picked out, but I also have a different, like a darker blue here. And I think the best way to know if these will go well next to each other is I'm just going to take a piece of scrap paper here, and I'm going to test them. So I'm going to test them not on top of my drawing, but here's my light blue. And then I want to make sure I have something that contrasts. Oh, that does contrast enough. I was thinking it might not. And then here's a darker blue. I actually like the darker blue, I think, better. So I'm going to go with the darker blue. Alright, so these are my two colors. So for my next one, again, I'm going to go through and I'm going to inline, staying inside my line. I don't want to leave any like white halo, so I'm going to go right up to that line. I'm going to inline here. And this just makes sure that I'm not going over my barrier. I'm going to make sure I don't have anything on my table, because if you have anything down, like you may decide you want to put this on top of your manila folder when you do this, so you don't pick up any ruts or anything in your table. Okay, so now I'm going to trace around. So now I'm going to outline my inner shapes. Just make sure I don't scribble across them when I go to color. Okay, I'm at my last one here, and now I'm going to fill the background. And since I have those barriers, it makes it go faster. So I always would encourage you to create the outline and the inlines to create those barriers. Now, once I'm done coloring this row, I'll go back to my lighter blue, and I'll do the next row, and I'll keep alternating my way down. Trying to be as neat and as even as I can, and if I need to, if something does not look as even or as neat, I can go back and add another layer. Okay, this layer is done. Now I'm just going to systematically continue with my light blue again. Oops, I see an area I left light right there. And I'm going to go back to this one, and I'm going to inline. I'm going to trace my dots of my fish, And I'm going to alternate my way out to the edge. Now, I'm not going to have you watch me color all this, but I'm going to show you one that is done. So you can see in here, I alternated with blue and violet, making my fish bright orange. My dots were a different color of blue. Here I'm alternating in the background. I have my blue background here with my red footballs, and then I alternated by color here. If you have one that is random, where you don't have rows divided, you can color that background all as one, but don't leave anything white. So even in here where my clouds would have been white, I colored them pink, and that makes, when we're done, the black and white hand really stand out. So there shouldn't be anything that's in this background that's white, and everything should be neatly colored. Yeah, that's it. When you're done, you will submit.